Hello everyone, and welcome to the 10th edition of the Earring Show. I'm Catherine Slack, a volunteer here at CCBC, and this is Corey DeVries.
Hey everyone.
Who works in the shop. The Earring Show serves as a unique space that presents earrings as art, culture, and a snapshot of contemporary, high-level craftsmanship. Over the past 7,000 years, earrings have acted as a window into cultural practices. At times, earrings have been used to introduce new norms into culture. At other times, culture has been expressed through earrings. The exhibition recognizes the importance of earrings throughout history in their various roles, from adornment and status markers to protest and cultural statements. You're welcome to view and purchase earrings at the CCBC Gallery until May 18th, and you can browse and purchase earrings online until July 31st. And by the way, we're celebrating our 50th anniversary here at CCBC. This show is divided into 3 categories: emerging artists, limited edition, and one of a kind. First off, the emerging artist category is for makers as they go through the early stages of their making career. The Earring Show aims to provide a space for students, early graduates, or self-taught makers that have recently started out. This year, the runner-up is Carly Furneaux for her geometric stud earrings. And we're now thrilled to announce the winner of the emerging artist category, Kate Gardner from Canberra, Australia, for her collection Rangelands. We're really happy to have Cheryl McKay here again to interview our winners. Let's go over to Cheryl McKay and meet Kate. Cheryl?
Well, thank you, Catherine. What a treat to be here and have a chance to talk to the winners for this year's Earring Show. And I am delighted now to be presenting the winner of this year's Emerging Artist Award. Kate Gardner is joining us from Canberra in Australia. And Kate, for about 10 years now, or maybe more, has been studying metalwork, making all manner of things, knives and spoons, and of course, jewelry. And the pieces that appear in the Earring Show and for which Kate won the award are from her Rangeland Revealed series. And they're really specific, really relating to the environment of the rangelands in Western New South Wales in Australia. And Kate, hello to you and congratulations.
Oh, hello, Cheryl. Thank you so much. It's lovely to be speaking to you from Ngunnawal and Yamboo country here in Australia, in the nation's capital. And I'd like to say congratulations to all the other artists in this year's show. It is a real thrill to be involved. And thank you so much to the jury and the people looking at all the pieces. I'm obviously in really great company. It's a complete surprise to get the award, and just congratulations to everyone involved. Thank you so much. And it's all gone really smoothly in liaising with the team, etc. So thank you.
Before we started recording, you were just mentioning the beautiful things on the wall behind me here. And yes, the gallery here is just filled with these beautiful displays. And it is like being in some kind of a treasure trove, a treasure box. And you'll have to come sometime for it.
I will try and do that, definitely. It looks amazing.
I'd love to talk about the pieces in this Rangeland Revealed series. Can you tell us a bit about the materials? Well, actually, first of all, let's start with the inspiration, Kate. The inspiration, the rangelands. Why have those been an inspiration for you, and how do you translate that?
Yes, so I really am looking to engage with an extraordinary area of the Australian continent. Engaging with the small detail and the large features in an area about 10 hours inland from the eastern coast of the Australian continent, so 10 hours by car, and it's in Western New South Wales, if anyone knows the states and territories of Australia. It's on Nyampa country. It's typically very flat, known to be flat comparative to, say, the Great Dividing Range in this continent. It's described, or it's part of, the red outback, that cliche type statement about the Australian outback. But it's kind of red orange tone soil. So I'm looking to encapsulate the green tone of leopardwood trees, common name for a tree out there, the red sandy loam soils, the vast night sky, and also the ridge lines. There's big sandstone ridge lines that curve through the landscape. At their highest point, they can be about 100 metres high, or 200 sort of feet, 300 feet high, 300 feet high in the old measurement. That's not very high compared to your mountains in Canada, but considering the vast majority of the landscape is quite flat, if you just get up a little bit in that country, you can get an amazing vista out into that landscape. So I had the good fortune to spend my formative years in this area near a town called Cobar, and my family had a property there for about 30 years. And so having commenced working with metal in the last 5-8 years, I've really gravitated to this topic of the rangelands of Western New South Wales.
It's interesting, like you say, that landscape that implants when we're very young, and then the way that when you start working like this, that it becomes something that you want to express.
Absolutely. And I'm really looking to communicate in effective ways this landscape. So my pieces really encompass both the micro and the macro features in this landscape in one piece. So I stitch with coloured silk, so that might be this leaf colour of the leopardwood tree, and then I saw piece curving detail out of the edge of my earrings, and that's the curving sandstone ridge lines through the landscape. So that's really what I'm endeavouring to do.
And I'm looking at one here that has the red silk embroidery, and I guess that's referencing the soil, is it?
Yes, yeah, correct. The rangelands of Western New South Wales, it can be a place that people might fly over or drive through quite quickly to get to the centre where Uluru is, to go up to Darwin, etc. But the rangelands around Cobar are really vibrant. So the red soil, in the summertime there is yellow, white, feather-like dry grasses that extend across the landscape. There's eucalypt trees, the green. It's a really vibrantly coloured place.
I'm really interested in this combination of the silk thread and the metal, the oxidized metal in some of these earrings. What gave you the idea to put those two very different materials together?
To be honest, I'm early in my practice and I still puzzle over why the silk embroidery. I am drawn to texture and tactile qualities and changing texture. So I had the good fortune to see the work of a local silversmith here in Canberra, Alison Jackson, and I went and did a workshop with her, a spoon making workshop, and she had some display items set aside, and she had drawn some copper wire through the border of a vessel, sort of a spoon-like object. And I said to Alison, "What's that? That's interesting. I'd like to do something like that." But I think I ended up working in silk to embellish the object that I made. I've also recognised, Cheryl, that working in sterling silver, I do place yellow gold in my pieces at the moment as well, and these silks, that the rangelands are worthy of being celebrated in fine materials. So I'm really trying to honour that landscape in quality fine materials.
You mentioned the gold, and the other pair I'm looking at here have the gold beads on them, and I think, is that the night sky, Kate?
It's that, yeah, Cheryl, it is. It's the combination of the the blazing yellow stars that dot the night sky. Well, anywhere you can get away from a city or, a light saturated place, the night sky is a wonder. And so I've embedded the bald yellow gold wire across the surface of the earrings, so that to the touch, the little yellow balls will move. And so simultaneously, the pieces are the night sky, but they've also got that quality of, crumbly bits that come off bark when you pick it up. So that's what I'm trying to combine there, that micro macro context. The surface treatment of the liver of sulfur is just temporary, as jewelers will know. My pieces, I do place a layer of museum grade wax across that liver of sulfur treatment, but I am happy, and I understand over time, that the wearer will create their own buffing and marking across that surface, and I'm happy for that to occur. What I've seen over the years with those pieces is that the pieces are effectively convex, so they have a concave back, and that outer edge will wear slowly and create its own fine silver line around the earring. So these are qualities that I'm happy about, because the landscape changes over time.
Yes,
and a lot of people are working to repair those changes. But yeah, so that's sort of what's happening within the piece as well, with that liver of sulfur and that surface treatment, which is only temporary, but hopefully for a duration of time. It never will completely rub off, as jewellery makers know.
What made you turn to metalworking? You mentioned you're early in your career, about 8 years ago. What started that for you, Kate?
Yeah, so as I say, I'm speaking to everyone from Canberra, here in Australia. It's the seat of government here. The city was only really declared in 1913. It's very young. There's a lot of politicians here, but there's also a couple of generations of creatives. It's a really amazing city. The Australian National University here has had a program oscillating, changing over the years, funding, etc., of an art program of various disciplines. And so up until recently, there was a gold and silversmithing school, and a lot of people have gone through that and remained in this city, or of course, gone further afield. But in 2015, I happened to see a news article about a fellow running a forge to the south of Canberra, and he was running a forge making Damascus steel and Japanese knives. And at the end of the article, Cheryl, it said, that he ran workshops and that you could go along and no experience was necessary. And I thought, that's amazing. I am not really a crafty person. I didn't feel I was at the time. But I thought, if I could make a knife and even can cut a marshmallow, I'd be thrilled. So I went along to Karim Haddad's forge at Thawa, and I did do a little bit of research about Japanese kitchen knives and Damascus steel, and I thought I have to do both workshops. So I made some Damascus steel. I went back and made the knives. The following year, I went back again, and I found metal was my medium. It was amazing, and only available because this amazing person is running this incredible workshop that has only grown and become quite involved, and just it's extraordinary. And then I heard, as I mentioned, the work of Alison Jackson, who did go through the ANU Gold and Silversmithing School and is a silversmith. So she works in raising vessels. And I went along and I made those, a couple of spoons for a few workshops. And all this time, my friends and family were saying, so you've made some knives and you've made some spoons. When are you going to make some forks? But short of finding a workshop that would make some forks, I did know about Kin Gallery and Workshop, and my silversmithing was all my goldsmithing, making jewellery effectively, was really commenced in 2018, doing evening workshops through that studio. So I found my medium through the availability of creatives operating in this city. It's just been a treasure trove of experience.
Were you surprised to find yourself working with metal, that was, like you say, that was your medium, that was your thing?
Really surprised. Surprised in two ways. Surprised that I was so drawn to the challenge, because it's dangerous work, it's hot work, and I found the direction in these workshops incredibly astute, incredibly welcoming, and also that the material can be worked with and rendered in so many different ways. I'm only exploring very limited way at the moment because I'm just so new to this. But yeah, I was really surprised, definitely.
Especially, I think you said you'd never thought of yourself as somebody who was especially crafty or creative to begin with. So, hooray.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's been incredible. And I think that's, it's the availability of people who are willing to share their expertise.
Yes.
And operate workshops with the confidence of novices coming in, right. and really the staff at Kin Gallery and Workshop, where I now work, I still pinch myself of the good fortune, and the goldsmith Katie Shanahan, who was a particular teacher there and continues to work there. So it was their encouragement. It's just been a great journey so far.
That is so wonderful. Hey, you've got some things there that you're working on right now, I think.
Yes, I do, Cheryl. So you did ask if there was something we were doing at the moment. So I am delving into the dark arts of brooch making. So I know that this this conversation is being shared with probably some quite astute goldsmiths and makers. So I feel that my form, my convex concave form, will really lend itself to brooch making. So this is the beginning of my exploration. This was my dream, to create a piece with that ridge line running through the center, and some gold solder. It's really it didn't really work, so that's okay.
It looks pretty nice, but it didn't work.
So it didn't really work. So I've realized I can saw pierce through the center again. This is this rangelands, the ridge line going through the center. I can't, it's got some holes in there, so I'll dot some yellow gold through there. That's my draft. And all this is based on, as we were just showing before, the amazing tone and texture of the emu egg. The Australian emu egg, it's a slightly smaller egg, I think, than the ostrich, if anyone's seen an egg like that. This egg is about 35 years old, so it's blown, it's hollow, but yeah. So, and it's from that area I was describing before. So I'm using a fretz hammer to texture, which I haven't done before. I'm oxidizing copper now to get that emu egg deep green black tone, and just wish me luck with trying to fit a pin to a convex back on a brooch. Here's my mock-up, one more show and tell. There's some paper stuck to the back of another example. So that's the project I'm working. Drafting and designing. So yeah, if anyone's got any hot tips about how to stick a pin to a convex back, I'm open to suggestions. Anyway, having a go.
You may get emails now.
Yeah, fine.
Kate, it's lovely to meet you this way. It's lovely to have a chance to talk to you about your work and see some more in progress. And once again, congratulations on winning the Emerging Artist Award this year.
Thank you so much, Cheryl, and good luck to everyone running the exhibition that's opening soon, I understand.
Thanks so much. Bye for now.
Bye.
Well, that was fun. Back to you, Catherine.
Thanks, Cheryl, and congratulations to Kate. Up next, Corey will tell us a little bit about the stories behind some of the pieces featured in the earring show. Corey's been writing about the earring show for our blog, In Craft, where she explores the history and the meaning of earrings and culture. If you haven't already, you can check them out on our website, craftcouncilbc.ca.
Thanks, Catherine. Yeah, we thought all of the earrings submitted to the show were excellent. Part of what made them so excellent were the background stories and also the inspiration behind crafting the earrings themselves. I will discuss about 5 of the earrings submitted and their backstories. Bridget Catchpole is a well-known artist in BC. She finds plastic in the ocean and she recycles them and makes jewelry out of them. Through her earrings, she hopes to provoke discussion on society's use of plastic generally, and also makes them in protest of environmental degradation through plastic pollution. Next is Sarah Farhai. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that right. Sarah is an Iranian artist whose earrings are titled Women, Life, Freedom. She wrote that she made these earrings to amplify the voices of men and women who are fighting for their rights in Iran right now. It was super interesting for us at CCBC to see how creatives engage with contemporary social issues through the medium of jewelry. There were also a number of earrings that explicitly spoke to cultural relevancy in terms of our geography. Laura Sermon, her earrings are inspired by the weather in BC, in particular the rain. Laura Sermon's earrings, titled Raindrops, are inspired by, she said, the ceaseless rain on the West Coast. In her artist statement, she said that instead of letting the rainy weather get her down, she channels this energy into crafting her jewelry. Evgenia, these earrings were inspired by her personal experiences at platforms at train stations. She was particularly inspired by watching people wait for their loved ones or boarding trains to go see their loved ones. And my colleague Catherine here has them. This is one of the 3 sets of the earrings in the Rail collection that she submitted to this year's show. Next and finally, Mingju's earrings are shaped as COVID masks. She wrote that masks that hung from people's ears over the past few years are technically the most popular earrings we've seen in a while. There are many more super interesting backstories that are all currently posted online, so I encourage you to check them out.
Very interesting. Thanks, Corey. Now we move on to the limited edition category. Limited edition earrings are pieces produced in limited runs that demand careful and skilled craftsmanship for consistency. While pieces in this category can have multiples reproduced, there are still slight variations among them due to the properties of the materials, variations in gemstones, for example, design decisions from the artist, as in variations in color with dyed materials, as well as the handmade nature of the artwork. The runner-up for the limited edition category is Erica Novak. And the winner of the 2023 limited edition category in the earring show is Burcu Büyükanal from Istanbul, Turkey, with her collections Glimpse and Surface. Congratulations to Burcu, and now we're going back to Cheryl to meet Burcu. Cheryl?
Thank you so much, Catherine. Burcu Büyükanal is in Turkey, and she has won for her collections Glimpse and Surface. She studied industrial design and worked with local pioneers in the field of contemporary jewelry in Turkey. And she got a Fulbright Award and then came to the United States, to New York, and studied there and worked there for a while as well. Currently in Turkey, teaching contemporary jewelry and, of course, creating beautiful, beautiful things. Burcu, welcome so much and congratulations.
Thank you. It's so exciting to be here and to get the award. I'm so happy. Hi.
Hi. And it's quite a different time for you, right? How many hours ahead are you? 8?
I think it's like 8 hours.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but it's 9:30 p.m. So
9:30 with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
How was your day?
It was good. It was Labor Day, actually. I spent it with my daughter playing in the playground. So it was a holiday for me today.
Not working today.
No.
I'd love to talk. I know you're sitting in your studio and there are all kinds of things we can have a look at there, which is fantastic. But I'd love to talk to you a bit about the collections that are honored with this award, Glimpse and Surface. Can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration for each of these to start with?
Actually, this work started during the pandemic, the time I spent at home. I was really depressed, all of us, none of us know what's going to happen, what kind of life is this, and what jewelry does in this kind of life. So it was really depressing, but I was looking for something fun to play with. So I found this 3D pen, and I wanted to try it just to have fun, no aim of making work or whatever. So I tried this tool and I really love it. The colors and the material flow from the pen. Actually, I have it with me. I want to show you the pen.
The pen. Oh, okay.
It's very easy. It's like also children can use this, You have this material flowing from the nozzle. So it was really fun to play with it. So I made these pieces just with this filament. It's called a PLA. It's a bioplastic. So I made these very first pieces with the bioplastic only. And then in few years, I started to work with stones. It seemed like there is no connection in the beginning, but I noticed that the way I use the stones and the wax, because I was using wax modeling technique, it is very much connected to the first collection with the PLA material. And actually, I want to show you some of these pieces. These are the ones in the first place I made with PLA.
With the pen, yeah.
Yes, with the 3D pen, and it's a white one. So these are earrings. I made so many trials with these, but it was so fun. And I noticed that the stones and silver and wax, the way I use it is so connected. I was working with in drop shapes.
Right.
So I always feel like using stones is a bit limited for design. But the way I use it, I set it in wax. Sorry, it's very technical, but it's
interesting.
Really,
yeah.
So the way I use it, I set it in wax and have it cast. So I don't do stone setting on metal work, which is not my primary profession. It's a very advanced technique. I know a bit, but not very deeply. So I make this work with the stones. You also see it in the show. There are some colorful stones, earrings with colorful stones.
And they look they look almost like coral or something, like a white coral, the ones that I've seen with the stones set in randomly. Just beautiful, so delicate.
Thank you. I actually like that whiteness of the silver out of casting. I never touch it after casting,
Right.
like barely touch it. I do some finishing, but not so much. Sometimes it's a bit yellowish, sometimes pure white, and sometimes stone crack a bit. But if they are not so fragile, it's fine for me. So I like to leave it like this. And after these two collections, I did the ones with silver and PLA, which I have a small sample here. It's this one.
Oh, yes.
So this time I used silver on the background to create this feeling of depth. So this is the very last part of the collection, I could say.
There's such a liveliness in those pieces too, with everything heading in different directions, and it's like I don't know, almost like a spring thing or a life force or something. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I like working in repetitive action. I feel like it's how can I say? It's like therapeutic in a way.
Yes.
Maybe it's very much in the craft. Also the way of craft is done. So it's visible in my work. All of them has this repetitive action.
Did you always know, Burcu? Did you always know that you were going to work with jewelry, or was that something that evolved with your studies?
Actually, I studied industrial design. I knew that I hate industrial production. When I was going to the school, I noticed that I really like to use my hands. I tried ceramic course, glass course, and metal course. Luckily, I have these classes at my school. So I felt closer to metal. I really like to have control on the whole process, because in industrial design you have to work with a lot of other people and explain your design. Your design changes a lot at the end, and it's also similar when you are making. Of course, it changes, but it's the design appears through your making. I love that experience. So it's really fun and rich experience for me. So I didn't knew it was going to be about jewelry, but I knew that I'm going to do something with my hands. So.
Right. That had to be part of it after you realized, after you got to school. So tell us about coming to work in New York. What was that like? What kind of a change was that to study in the US?
Yes, it was a big change. Actually, I did 4 years in a jewelry company. I worked. After working for 4 years in the jewelry company, I applied for Fulbright scholarship. And actually, by chance, I met my teacher, advisor, Jamie Bennett, there in Istanbul at that time. He was also suggesting me, why don't you apply? So I applied to his school and some other schools. So I went to the States for 2 years to do a master's degree in metals. It was a lot different in terms of lifestyle, also the way of working, the studio facilities, and it was great. In the beginning, I had hard time, I must say. But after a while, I really enjoyed the studio, the courses there, the experience. It was so enriching, really nice.
Can you still see, I don't know, influences of that time in your work or inspirations from that period? And like you say, such a different world.
Yes, actually, I'm thinking of it myself too. It's like two different versions of me. Me there and me here is a little different because the work I do there was my thesis was on the perception of beauty, and it was very much unconventional and conceptual work that I did. Some pieces can be worn, but not really functional jewelry. So this this is part of my personality. I keep questioning things always. So my time there was like this, like it's reflected in my work, my personality. But I also really enjoy making functional jewelry. So it's like two different people. Sometimes I go that way, sometimes here. Lately, I haven't done this kind of work actually, but who knows,
Who knows,
what comes
right?
next.
It's a bit more functional lately, has it? Yeah.
Yes, I make jewelry. I teach how to make jewelry, which is also very much part of me. Like half time of my week is with teaching. So yeah, right now I'm just making jewelry and teaching.
Can you show us around your studio a little bit there?
Sure, yes. So this is my studio space.
Oh my goodness.
It's a 6 people bench. I teach here.
Nice.
And I'm gonna have some little display here. This is a window actually, and some of my wall pieces.
Oh, yes.
There is a little face here. I don't know.
Oh, look at the little face way in there. Yes. What is that material?
Actually, this is a lower carat silver, 400 carat silver, and this face is made of plaster. I have also that one is a plaster piece.
Lovely.
Ours are 400 carat silver, and I have a small display here. These are the works that I sent to you.
Yes.
And like that, some other colorful work I made many years ago.
Now that seems to be quite inspired by the little I know of art, for example, in Turkey, of traditional images and architecture. Is that the case?
You mean that work?
Yeah, the colorful work. Yeah.
Actually, this work is also about material. Of course, it's like the culture. I don't know. It's in me already, but it's not really intentionally coming out. The colorful pieces are made of drinking straws. And I want to show you those. Actually, they are my very first collection. So these are drinking straws.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So they have so many colors,
Interesting. Now, what on earth ever inspired you to work with drinking straws? That's extraordinary.
I was working in Grand Bazaar area. Most jewelers go there for casting, buying silver and stuff. And there are a lot of material stores there. These straws were like stacked on the street. It's a very crowded street full of everywhere, full of materials, cups, drinking straws, or like different plastics, paper, and anything. So I was just walking around, trying to find materials. So I got lots of these, and again play with them. So that work came out. Yes.
You were just walking and saw the ends of straws and thought, "Oh, I could do something with that."
Yes, actually, my work is so connected. The materials, their abilities, what can I do with them, and the technique, interpreting the technique in my own ways and my own harmonical view, I would say, like create my own harmony. So I feel like I really like to play.
Yeah. So I know this is a holiday, but what will you be doing now tomorrow when you get back to work in the studio?
Tomorrow morning I have one class to teach, and I have afternoon time for my own work. And in the evening I have one evening class for people who work in other jobs. They really like to be here, but I can only do it only one. Night classes are a bit tiring.
Right.
So yeah, there's only one night class, so tomorrow night will be a class time too.
So when you have some time in the studio yourself, what are you working on right now?
Right now, a collection which I made a few years ago. This got very good response actually. I have some orders to finish. So I work in this project. I will show you. I prepared a work to show you about that. This piece, this is a sculpture I made. It's made of plaster also. Actually, this work I saw in Musée d'Orsay in Paris. This is a sculpture's work, but it was a life-size work. So I was so impressed by this work, and I did so many drawings of it. A few months after that, seeing this work, actually, my father passed away, and this piece was a dead body sleeping, but it was so much alive. So really, this work came out with all these feelings and what is death and life. So it's and I made some rings. I will show you this one, and so many other pieces. One of them is this. Sorry, not the band-aid. Sorry,
not the band-aid.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's like
like flowers, like the face of this sculpture. Actually, it's that.
Right.
And I did some of them, like two faces with flowers coming out from the connection.
So beautiful.
Thank you. So it's silver and sometimes little gold flowers I used with this one. I have some orders with this work, so I'm really producing this work lately.
It is such a privilege, such a treat to have a peek inside your studio. Thank you so much, and lovely to talk to you. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much. I feel so lucky to be here because actually when I sent my work, it got lost in the shipping.
Oh no!
In the first place, and I found the package, and I insisted on sending it again. Finally, it got you, and I'm so happy to receive this award.
Persistence pays off. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was terrific. Wonderful.
Thank you.
And Catherine, back to you one more time.
Amazing, Cheryl. We couldn't have done this without our partners and sponsors. Thank you to Lacey West Supplies, Barbara Cohen, CMHC Granville Island, Bone Macron, Porchlight Press, Benton Brothers Cheese, my personal favorite, and Kasama Chocolate. Special thanks to our earring model, Caitlin Roberts, and our volunteers, the heart of our organization, myself, Diana Kamensek, Jasmine Basra, Marlene Jameson, Terry, Bryden McDonald, and Julia Stock. Thank you. Many thanks to the over 120 artists that applied for our 10th anniversary show. We're amazed to see the great design and craft from around the world. Now Corey will speak to materials, technique, and design.
Yeah. So apart from the stories, we also saw incredible craftsmanship and creativity in the earrings. Without doubt, all the earrings speak to this, but I'll point out a few that really just caught my eye. So the first is a pair of earrings by Miad. So I really love these earrings, especially in the realm of design, because it seems to me to really challenge us on the question of like, what is an earring? What should an earring look like?
Right.
And so I really loved how he put this together, even how it's such opposing looking pieces on each side from the left to the right. In the realm of material, as Catherine mentioned earlier, there was so much variety in material. There was beads, there was gemstones, there was kelp. There was just truly a breadth of material used in the earrings. One artist that really caught my eye was Tanya Scott. Tanya Scott collects natural materials from the Arctic and then sets them in resin. And so here is a pair of earrings that is seaweed seaweed and resin, and I just find these so creative.
Wow.
So incredibly creative.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, she has 3 pieces submitted to the earring show. I'll just show you a second pair of hers. These actually have pieces of polar bear teeth that she found.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, I just think this is such a creative way to mix natural with things like resin.
Neat. Very beautiful.
In terms of technique, there was a number of them that really caught my eye, but 2 that I'll speak to is Swetha's earrings, which are just back here, were almost entirely 3D printed. We saw a rise of the use of 3D printed material in this year's show, and I think it's something we're going to continue to see. I just think that they're beautiful pieces, and I think how she used her own creativity combined with 3D printing, I thought that was just phenomenal. And also, these are earrings by Jessica. These earrings are metalwork and also crochet. Really finely done crochet work.
They're so fun.
Yeah, I thought so too, and I thought that was such an interesting contrast between bright crochet and the silver metal that she's used.
I love it.
Yeah, so it was really interesting to see the breadth of technique, material, and design throughout the over 260 pairs of earrings. Again, I encourage you to check out our earrings online.
Mm-hmm. Before we move to the last category, Corey, tell me about the cuff you're wearing.
This is an ear cuff by an artist named Kate and Chang. She submitted earrings in the emerging category. Interestingly, we saw a number of ear cuffs submitted this year, a trend that really seems to be on the rise. Ear cuffs are a great alternative for people who don't have their ears pierced. Ear cuffs look great as adornment, as an alternative to a traditional earring that usually hangs or a stud. I find it a great piece to wear casually, but also looks great on a night out.
Love it. Last but not least is the category one of a kind. These pieces are just that, one of a kind. They're unique earrings that are neither mass-produced nor produced in a limited run. These earrings have a special combination of characteristics, materials, and craftsmanship that make them ear-reproducible. The runner-up for one of a kind is Bridget Catchpool. Over to Cheryl to speak with Sherry Pelican, winner of One of a Kind.
Well, thank you, Catherine. Sherry Pelican is our next guest, and Sherry is the winner this year of the One of a Kind Award. Sherry works in Vancouver. She's based in Vancouver, and she works with fabricated metal and a whole variety of beautiful materials, and we're going to hear about some of those right now. And in fact, one of the judges for the earring show talked about Sherry's ability to create such harmony with such a diverse array of materials and textures and colors, and how Sherry can so seemingly, I'm sure it's not, but seemingly effortlessly put those together to make things of such beauty. Sherry, welcome and congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to have been selected as the winner of the One of a Kind category for the 2023 Earring Show. And I'm especially happy to hear the comments from the judge about how I managed to bring these disparate elements together, and because that was what I was hoping for when I created those earrings. I wanted to give that impression of those items that were so different in texture and shape and line, and make them into something that has context.
Yes, and harmony. I would agree. Absolutely. Yes. Well, let's talk about these specific ones right now, these earrings, before we sort of have a look at some other things and talk about your other work. What are the materials that you've put together here, Sherry? First of all, what is that sparkly, beautiful gold material in the rectangle box at the top?
It's crushed goldstone. It's a material that's used very commonly by woodworkers to inlay stone into wood. And oftentimes you'll see it in different colors and different types of stone, like turquoise or lapis will be crushed up, sometimes mother of pearl. And when it's in those applications for wood, typically it's sanded off and made to be flush.
Right.
You embed it in resin and then sand it. But I was wanting that texture. And that's why I left it rough and sort of pebbly and sparkly as well.
And sparkly, yeah.
Yeah.
It is beautifully sparkly, yes. Is this something you've worked with a lot, Sherry? This
No, this is kind of a new area of exploration for me. I've done work with resin before, but actually embedding objects into resin that were more jewelry oriented. By that I mean crushed stone is something that I've just started doing. So I'm excited about it. There's a lot of suppliers out there that are feeding my current addiction for crushed stone. So I've got little batches of resin down in my studio, and I'm trying each little batch to see what the final outcome will be. Oftentimes the stone, once you get it into the resin, will not look the same.
Oh.
So you have to do a little experimenting to see if that was what I was really going for, or do I need to backpedal a little bit and look at a different type of stone to put in it.
You mean sometimes the color changes, or
sometimes the color changes? Yes.
Yeah. Huh.
Because some of the stones can be translucent and some can be opaque. So with the opaque stones, it's pretty easy, just right off the top. This is lapis, it's going to be blue, fine. But if you get something like garnet, all of a sudden it may go from a nice clear red in the package, you put it into resin, and it's a little more muddy, and it loses some of that translucent quality.
I'm just thinking about all those little packages of crushed stones. Yes, I can see why you get a little bit hooked on that.
Yes. And when I was putting together the elements for that particular pair of earrings, I was really drawn from my walks in the neighborhood. And that's why I wanted to incorporate the wire element, the little handmade charm that I made, and also the other piece of stone that's there. It's a teardrop shaped piece of rutilated quartz. And I was really drawing from this sense of seeing the homes that have been demolished and rebuilt in my neighborhood. And as you walk past the construction or demolition sites, I would see these piles of broken up stones or chunks of chain link fence that had been ripped away, pieces of glass, windows still in casings. And it was just so interesting because I thought, well, these are things that once had context to one another, building items that once were together and made a home, and now they're just spread out everywhere. And I was really entranced by the idea of bringing context back to elements that were disparate.
So when you say about bringing context, you mean bringing them back in?
Bringing them back together, yes. Making them relate to one another again.
I noticed you've got beads in here as well.
Yes, that's my other new little addiction. Maybe I shouldn't be admitting that. But typically my work has involved seed beads, glass seed beads from either Japan or the Czech Republic. And then I also discovered that there are very tiny little gemstone beads that are faceted and very sparkly that I could also use to embellish on top of some of the work that I do. I really enjoy using beads, whether it's the new gemstone beads or previously the glass beads, to do an almost embroidery-like process on top of the metal, because I want the dimension that the beads give, and I also want the texture. And there's a reflective quality there too, where some of the lights hits it, and it also catches your eye from that aspect.
Oh, so you've got another little lovely stash of those, do you?
Another little lovely stash that's growing quickly, I'm afraid.
I think I read somewhere, though, that beads were where you started in a way with jewelry.
It is. Beads were definitely where I was started. I remember being in kindergarten, and you're always afraid. You walk in there and they gave us each a little it was like a cottage cheese container, and it had these big wooden beads in it and a shoestring. And they said, go in the corner and just string the beads. And it had such a calming effect on me because I was, of course, being separated from my mother and I didn't want to go to kindergarten. But I just have this vivid memory of the colorful beads and how happy I felt. And then later, probably in elementary school, I started exploring more seed beads. And once I was out of school and on my own, I just started going back to seed beads as a hobby. And at that particular time, it wasn't easy to find stores that sold seed beads. There were a few, and there were even fewer publications about the hobby of seed beads and stitching. And then in the 90s and well into the 2000s, that particular field of hobby just exploded. And so I subscribed to all the magazines, I tried all the new techniques, I went to workshops, and I really loved it. And then one day I thought, I really want to make my own ear wires and my own clasps. And that's how I got pulled into metalworking. I started taking metalworking classes at that point. And then I, as the beaders say, I went to the dark side, I went full metal, and decided that I had to find a way to incorporate these two loves of mine, the beadwork and the metalwork. It was mostly that I could take a flat structure, a piece of sheet metal, and cut it with a saw, solder it together, and otherwise form it to create something that had dimension. And for me, a lot of times my work centers around containers. I'm trying to capture something. And so I'm either building a container for crushed stone, I'm building a container that I'll put seed beads or gemstone beads into, or sometimes I'll just have an empty container just to give the eye a place to rest if you're looking at a particularly busy piece. So I like that idea of building little containers for things that I want to put in them. But mostly it's the idea that I can take something flat and, cup it, shape it, make it into a box, whatever form it was. And that gives you a lot of freedom.
Right. And that's one of the things you've done with this particular set of earrings, where you've made that wonderful little rectangular box that holds the crushed stone. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I know you're not in your studio, or I'm guessing you're not.
I'm not. I'm in my kitchen.
Yeah. I was going to say, it looks way too tidy. Well, maybe your studio is very tidy. But I would love to see, you've got some examples of some work there. I'd love to see what you've brought up.
Yes, these for the most part are all brooches. This first piece is pretty angular.
Oh, lovely.
And it's filled with little seed beads. And from the side, you can see it's got like a ledge.
Uh-huh. Oh, that is so interesting. And then there's angles inside then too.
Yes, and again, that goes back into that area, that idea of your eye needs a place to rest, because the beadwork can be quite busy.
Right.
And this one, so much of my inspiration is drawn from the urban environment and buildings, and I was thinking of cornices, a ledge overhanging a building, and I wanted to represent sometimes the plant life that you'll see growing underneath the edges of buildings. And so that's where this particular piece.
Lovely. Yes, and you can see it's almost like a vine there with some of the beads.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that was kind of fun to do.
Huh. Are you constantly seeing things as you walk around then and inspired by shapes?
I am. I'm particularly drawn when I'm out for a walk to two primary things: patterns, like the pattern in a chain link fence, or I love some of our street grates or the manhole covers, which have designs on them. And sometimes they're repetitive patterns, and I really like seeing those patterns. And the other thing I'm very drawn to is texture. So it can be the moss on top of the roofs, it can be the vines on a stuccoed building, it can be, any type of surface texture, whether it's the asphalt or just I'm particularly drawn to sort of the pebbly, textury surfaces that you find on stucco. So I like looking at textures and patterns.
What's next on your shelf there in front of you?
Oh, it's another brooch. And this one.
Oh, and it's got sort of is that a pearl or is it
a pearl in there? And then here is more beadwork. And this was a representation of like an alcove or a niche you might find in a wall.
Huh.
And I wanted to, with the beads, represent some maybe some plants that had taken up residence in an old wall.
Like an ivy or something.
Ivy or yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to say weeds, but yeah, something like that. And then there was the pearl. The pearl, I basically added one because of its luster. I like that little bit of light that it gave. And also it helps to sort of balance everything out. But see if you look from the side.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Got a little more dimension again. And it's, again, for me, it's that idea, oh, it's a container. I can put something in it and I'll put beads in it.
And it almost looks like there's almost like a motion to that, as if they're just rolling down the inside.
Yes, I was also trying to get that effect of having them sort of spill.
Yeah, from over the top. Yeah,
from over the top. Yeah, and lovely. Kind of down the sidewall a little bit too.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So that was another little brooch I have.
And do you have another one there too?
I do, and this is one where I go full metal on this one. And it goes back again to my love of texture and surfaces. And when I was thinking of this particular piece, it was flagstones or cobblestones, something that you would see laid out in a pattern if you were walking in an older city. And sometimes if you've been in cities or even in here in Vancouver and you've walked along some of the surfaces that have flagstones, you can see that often there's a pattern.
Yes.
That goes with them. So this is fused. I took these strips of silver and put them on a base surface, and then I fused them all with a lot of heat. And I went back in subsequent to the fusing and I cut the shape out and then I forged it. But I also went in and added extra texture. I went in with some carving tools, and here, right down at the bottom.
Oh, yes. Okay.
There's additional texture that I've added because I was really looking to impart an idea of texture and wear, as if these had been flagstones or cobblestones that had been used over many, many years.
And yes, that weathered, worn.
The weathered, worn look. Yes. And that's one of the reasons I love texture. I have a really difficult time looking at a flat piece of metal unless it's oxidized. And sometimes I can't really, I have more difficulty with just a plain shape. So I have to always try and do something to it.
And the process of that, I'm just thinking, is probably really nice too, is it? Of looking at that and taking away and taking away.
It is. There is very much like with the rectangle pin. I was auditioning various components for that pin. So I would, before I made the final decision, you bring out what components you think might work. And you arrange them. And then, I had numerous photos on my iPhone of like, do I like this or do I like that? And then I just would scroll through all the different elements I'd put together until I found the one that I felt sort of resonated with the idea that I wanted to portray. But that's what I do. I audition everything. How does this look? How does that look?
Sherry, what are you working on right now?
Right now, I'm working on a new necklace. And it's going to be more seed beads, but this time I'm working on a chain that has seed beads incorporated into it. So I make each link by hand and then I thread seed beads on it and then I fuse it together. So it's a beaded chain, but then and it will be a focal across the bottom. And then I'll have textured silver pieces around the back that are also formed a little bit into almost like an inverted an inverted shape, and then it'll come around with lots of texture. I processed all the metal through a rolling mill, so it's got some texture as well. Nice. And then I'll oxidize it and put it all together. And I've also got another idea in my head. I'm going to make a bigger necklace with wire shapes outlining, probably more like a triangle shape. And then I'll have some crushed lapis piece on the side, and it'll be almost like a garland where it comes around. And then over here, I'll have a piece of real uncrushed lapis, or I may do beads. I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet.
I love this peek into how it all starts to come together. Yeah.
Yes. And I found that working sometimes with component-based building really gives me the flexibility to say, okay, this works here, but it doesn't work here. So then I have to substitute or find something that does work. And so oftentimes I will just, if I don't have an idea in my head for a particular piece, I'll just make components in my studio, knowing that the day will come that I will probably use them, even though it may not be in the immediate future.
Oh, Sherry, it's lovely to have a chance to talk to you, and congratulations once again.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. It's been a pleasure to talk with you as well.
Bye for now.
All right, bye.
And Catherine, back to you.
Thanks, Cheryl. Don't miss the exhibition at the CCBC Gallery on Granville Island in Vancouver until May 18th. And you can also browse and purchase earrings online until July 31st. 50% of the sales go to support programming in the craft sector. Thank you and enjoy shopping.
Thanks for tuning in.